Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's tea time at the Ritz again. How lovely, lovely it is to see all of you. I really missed you over the weekend. You can see that I'm a bit dressed up today. I've done that on purpose because I really want to be in the fantasy of visiting the Ritz with all of you. Really imagine myself into that situation. So I got up this morning and I thought, okay, if it was today that I was going up to town, to Piccadilly, to go into the Ritz and their special tea room, what would I wear? And I decided that I'd probably put on, because it's quite it's not particularly warm, but it's quite a nice bright day. This pink linen jacket that I bought last year, and this white linen top that I got from Hobbs. And I put on my favourite at the moment, latest tulali earrings. So I've dressed myself up for this fantasy that we all have around going to the Ritz. And I've done that on purpose because what I want to talk to you about today is how important it is that we include an element of playfulness and play into our lives. And I've realised that it's what's been missing from mine for the last few weeks. Because lockdown has been easing, but I have felt very uncomfortable about really going out into the world very much at all. I feel that this is actually quite a difficult part of it. Going into lockdown was relatively easy. It was very clear cut. Now it's not so easy. And I can't see an end point, and I think that's what makes it hard. What is there to look forward to? What can we actually cling to? Am I going to get to go down to France maybe later in July or August? Maybe not. Who knows? I've just got to say, who knows? No plans, no possibility of plans. I obviously, like you, have had to cancel things over the last 3 months or so. Cancelled plans to go to the theatre. I got 3 theatre dates booked. Cancelled plans to go away on a trip to Jerez in Spain with a group of girlfriends for some fun. And I know that there are people out there who've had to cancel major events, weddings, golden wedding anniversaries, birthdays, much more sort of tragic than mine. And so we're all in this situation of knowing that our lives have been less rich, less diverse, less exciting, and much less fun than we would have liked. And it's this element of play and fun that I think is really, really important. The words enjoyment, joyfulness, joy, joie de vivre, what they embody for me and encapsulate is a sense that you're living your life to the full and that you're really, really having a great time. But that can be quiet things as well as noisy things. So we're not talking about always it being a social context. So that's really what I want to explore, the ways that we can play when we're older and how important it is. We know that when children are little, when they're babies, toddlers and young children, and not so young children, that play is an incredibly important part of their development. In fact, children who are deprived of play for one reason or another find it very difficult to learn. And learning that is done through play can often be fantastically successful. I was watching my little 3-year-old granddaughter the other day. I went round to spend some safe time with my immediate family in the garden. And I've got 3 granddaughters in one family, and the youngest one, Matilda, is 3, and she popped in the house at one stage, and I could just see her. And they've got quite a big doll's house filled with furniture and little characters, and she was totally lost in a fantasy story playing with these little doll-like characters. They were having conversations, she was moving them around, and she was having the most brilliant time just imagining herself into this story. And that's really, I connect that to what we're doing here in our imagining ourselves into the Ritz. We're doing exactly what Matilda was doing in her fantasy play. We're just saying, wouldn't it be great if we could just go to somewhere that had gilded mirrors and chandeliers and wonderful silver teapots and those elegant cake stands, and we were sitting there dressed up in our in our nicer clothes, if you like, and able to indulge ourselves in that sort of wish fulfillment almost, just like, as I said, Matilda was doing. So it's incredibly important for kids to play, and then as we get into adulthood, I guess the serious stuff tends to take over, although some people manage to inject quite a lot of play into their lives, whatever they're doing. But, working for a living, having to look after a family, having perhaps money worries or the care and concerns for paying the bills and getting through in that way, means that play and the opportunities for play can be pushed to one side. And that's why I think that as we get older, we almost need to see this latter stage of life as an opportunity for truly experiencing a second childhood in the best possible way, not by becoming stroppy and difficult and having temper tantrums, which is the other side of Matilda, my little 3-year-old. I mean, my goodness me, can she be difficult? She has got a will of her own, and she's going to impose it on whoever's around. So I'm not talking about lying on the ground and drumming your heels into the floor and screaming, which is what she does from time to time when she's having a temper tantrum. I'm talking about a second childhood in the sense of exploring the possibilities that we all have to be creative and to play. And I've come up with several, lots of ideas that I've got, and things that certainly in my own life I can see are incredibly important to me, because they are the other side of the coin of work, which is play. In fact, I have said this before, I think, but I started Look Fabulous Forever not to work, not in order to work. It wasn't about work. It was about play. I wanted to have some fun. I wanted to get out and meet new people. I wanted to do something exciting and different and challenging and risky, something that would stretch me and make me feel a bit scared, all of which are sort of childlike things to do. And so, I came up with this mad idea. I would create a range of makeup for older women, and I would launch it as Look Fabulous Forever. And I have to say that the period when I was preparing the business and getting it together was incredibly good fun. I was doing some wonderful things, and it was very creative as well. All things that I really loved. And then it got very serious. It got serious not through design, but by default. And then for a while it became quite hard work. And it is hard work from time to time. But what I've tried to do as the business has developed is to get other people to take some of the responsibility for that serious stuff, not least my 2 daughters, Anna and Susie, and also the rest of the team, to get to leave me free to do the things that I love. So if you say, well, what do you love about Look Fabulous Forever? Well, obviously I just love everything around our customers. I really do. I love all the contact that I have with them. And Super Troopers Facebook has been brilliant for that. I love making videos. Here am I talking to you. I'm my own makeup artist. I'm my own hairdresser. I'm my own producer, director. I write the scripts. I have total control over this process, and I love it. I enjoy it. And it has, during lockdown, unquestionably, these videos, talking to you, getting your feedback, you telling me that you love this process, you enjoy what I'm doing here, and also joining in with the Super Troopers and all the fun that we've had on that. That has been where I have had my child desire for play fulfilled most satisfactorily, given that I've got very few playmates at the moment in the real world and very few opportunities in the real world to have fun and enjoyment by going out and going to the theatre or meeting up with a friend to have lunch and so on and so forth. So how can we play when we're older? What are the opportunities? Well, they are many and varied. Let's start with creativity. Anything that you do that can be called a creative process is play. So I'm here talking about making things. You know, there are, I'm sure amongst many of you, some brilliant sewers. Maybe you like doing tapestry or something like that. I saw a beautiful finished one on Super Troopers page just yesterday. I've got a sister-in-law who makes quilts. She is brilliant at it and makes the most beautiful quilts of her own design. I mean, stunning, stunning things. And that is her totally expressing her creativity. She's very modest about it, but whenever I see anything that she's made, I'm absolutely overwhelmed by how brilliant she is at it. Jewellery, we've had somebody on Super Troopers, and of course we've got Tulali, but people that make jewellery at home very successfully. Anything and everything that's about making things, and you'll know what those things are if you indulge yourself in that passion. The second is very obvious creativity around art, painting, drawing, photography. I love photography. I've been on 3 or 4 photography courses, and I've just had a brilliant time every time. And I've come back and looked at my photographs. I did one in Morocco. I've done one on the west coast of France around Ile de Ré, and the pleasure that I've got out of a good camera, and then coming back and seeing what I've actually managed to capture, my goodness me, it's just brilliant. Sport, you know, we play tennis, we play golf. You might be a runner. Even me on my little pink exercise bike, I feel like I'm an athlete. I have a fantasy, total fantasy, that I'm Victoria Pendleton, you know, and I'm just about to race around a velodrome. I don't think so, but you know, this is what we're talking about. We're talking. I mean, with sport, you use your body as an expression of play, and that liberation that you get from doing it. Gardening. I think of gardening as painting with plants. I talked about this last week to you, the pleasure and some of the heartache I've had out of gardening. But my little garden at the moment is filled with colour. It's filled with joy. Just looking out at it, at how pretty it is, and how those plants, the contrast of the different coloured greens and so on and so forth, that for me is enjoyment, joyfulness, joy, and total, as I said, play. Planting, painting with plants as an art form. Cooking, making food, nurturing others with your food. But if you're a good cook, then you are definitely playing. You're playing with the food, and I bet you take time and trouble to decorate it, to put it on the plate in a nice way. All of that is an expression of our inner child, the need to make something, and in this case to indulge that sense of taste and enjoyment that we get out of food. Singing, acting, dancing, anything that again is expressive with our bodies, usually in a joint activity with others, and the sheer thrill that people get from doing those activities. They're things that I want to put into my life in the future. I definitely want to sing. I'd actually quite like to dance somehow, because I don't think there's enough singing and dancing in my life, except when I'm on my own. The other thing, the other way that I think we can indulge our inner child is through a much more passive process, but it's where we watch something that inspires our imagination, or, as I said, our fantasy world. So here I'm talking about film and cinema and TV. A lot of people won't see those as creative pursuits or even as play, but whilst we've been in lockdown, my cinema trip, which I take via Curzon Home Cinemas every Saturday, has been to another world and another land. I've been to Saudi Arabia, I've been to France a few times, 3 times I think. My latest film was called The County, and it was set in Iceland. And it It was brilliant. I loved it, but I like going when I'm watching a film. Or a series on Netflix or something like that. I'm watching a series at the moment called Teatime, which is set in an Orthodox Jewish community in Jerusalem. And I find it fascinating how these people are living their lives, so different from any experience of mine. And that's what I love to indulge if I'm going to watch a film or something on the television. And finally, reading. Now, again, that looks like a very passive activity, but I do think reading is part of this play that we can indulge in the sense of this fantasy world, this inner world of our minds and imaginations and so on. I started lockdown reading Hilary Mantel's The Mirror and the Light. You know, I've loved the other two, Will Fall and Bring Up the Bodies, but my goodness me, did I find that heavy going. And actually, I stuck with it. It's a huge book. I stuck with it for, halfway through. And then I thought, do you know what? I need a good story now. This is pretty heavy going. So I switched and I just read Where the Crawdads Sing. It's a debut novel. I was recommended it on, I can't remember where I saw it. I think it might have been on Woman's Hour. Anyway, I've read it and it was brilliant. And it was just unputdownable. I actually read till 1:30 in the morning just to finish it the other morning, and I loved it because it was a story. You know, we need stories in our life, and I think we also need poetry. I love the way that poetry has meaning at certain times in our lives. And I think this lockdown period, I've been reading lots of poems on here because I think poetry is something that is joyful and playful. And sometimes it's very serious, but it's emotional. It connects us emotionally to a subject. And I've got two to read out for you. One is very playful. I love it. It's about a rapping granny. And the other is very serious, and it's a sort of, well, you'll see what it is when I come to it. So this is the first one, and I'm going to read it out of this book. This book is brilliant, by the way. It's Giles Brandreth, Dancing by the Light of the Moon. So if you want to have a good book, which has got over 200 poems in it, of all sorts, he's done amazing curation on poetry in this book, and it's really brilliantly written. But this is called Gran, Can You Rap? And I'm going to try and do it. I don't know what accent I shall assume, but we'll see. It needs to be done quite fast, so hopefully I can get through it without too much difficulty. Here we go. So Gran was in her chair. She was taking a nap when I tapped on her shoulder to see if she could rap. Gran, can you rap? Can you rap? Can you, Gran? And she opened one eye and said to me, Man, I'm the best rapping granny this world's ever seen. I'm a tip-top, slip-slap, tip-rap queen. And she rose from the chair in the corner of the room and she started to rap with a bim-bam-boom. And she rolled her eyes and she rolled round her head and she rolled by this. This is what she said. I'm the best rapping gran this world's ever seen. I'm a nip-nap, yip-yap, rap queen. Then she rapped past my dad and she rapped past my mother. She rapped past me and my little baby brother. She rapped her arms narrow, she rapped her arms wide. She rapped through the door and she rapped outside. She's the best rapping gran this world's ever seen. She's a drip, drop, trip, trap, rap queen. She rapped down the garden, she rapped down the street. The neighbours all cheered and they tapped their feet. She rapped through the traffic lights as they turned red and she rapped round the corner. This is what she said. The best rapping granny this world's ever seen. I'm a flip-flop, hip-hop, rap queen. She rapped down the lane, she rapped up the hill, and as she disappeared she was rapping still. I could hear Gran's voice saying, Listen, man, listen to the rapping of the rap gran. I'm the best rapping granny this world's ever seen. I'm a tip-top, slip-slap, nip-nap, yip-yap, hip-hop, trip-trap, touch a cat. Take a nap, happy, rap queen. So, isn't that joyful? I love it. And to pour cold water on that, let's have another poem as a contrast. So this is the part of us that we must not indulge when we think of play when we're older. This is the person that wags their finger at us and tells us that we are silly. It's called What the Chairman Told Tom. I don't know why, but I feel that this ought to be said in a sort of North Country accent. So forgive me, I'm not making any sort of subliminal comments about the North Country whatsoever, but I think it works better in this kind of voice. Poetry? It's a hobby. I run model trains. Mr. Shaw there breeds pigeons. It's not work. You don't sweat. Nobody pays for it. You could advertise soap. Art, that's opera or repertory. The Desert Song. Nancy was in the chorus. But to ask for £12 a week? Married, aren't you? You've got a nerve. How could I look a bus conductor in the face if I paid you £12? Who says it's poetry anyway? My 10-year-old can do it and rhyme. I get 3,000 in expenses, a car, vouchers, but I'm an accountant. They do what I tell them, my company. What do you do? Nasty little words, nasty long words. It's unhealthy. I want to wash when I meet a poet. They're reds, addicts and delinquents. What you write is rot. Mr. Hines says so, and he's a school teacher. He ought to know. Go and find work. Oh, isn't that fun? So there you go. Don't go and find work. Go and find poetry and fill your life with play and joy and have fun. We're going to have some fun next week. We're going to do a live Zoom event. You're going to get to meet me for real as a live tea time at the Ritz next Tuesday. We're going to start it. I'm going to be interviewing Mags, the Tulali founder, all about earrings. So you'll get an email about that. If you subscribe to our emails on Look Fabulous Forever, you'll be shown how to join that Zoom session. It will be on Super Troopers on Facebook as well, the link. So I do hope you'll join us. Love to see you there. And don't forget, keep playing. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching.